What would the US look like if one party got full control? Just civil and honest, what would the US look like if Democrats got everything they wanted? Now what would it look like if Republicans got everything they wanted? We look at issues all the time here, sometimes a look at the big picture puts everything into perspective. Whatever party took over would break into new parties. This has actually happened before in the US following the era of good feelings. It would end up looking a lot like it does now, at least with Democrats. Look at cities and states where one party is in charge. They still end up with multiple coalitions, because the parties are big tent parties and have a lot of disagreement. The current Republican Party looks like they would try to end our democracy. George Washington himself couldn't stop the country from dividing between the Hamilton and Jefferson parties. Monroe ran unopposed and 4 years later his supporters split into 4 camps. No party will achieve full control. If the Dems got full control, they'd split into a centrist wing probably including former moderate Republicans, the Romney types and a progressive Democratic Socialist wing very quickly. If the progressives end up the dominant wing, they'd probably push for electoral reforms which allow smaller parties to actually gain traction in US politics, and we'd get a pretty diverse party system. I don't see the moderate wing of the Dems wanting this though. Either way, it'd probably be reminiscent of the New Deal era, where the Democrats did have near complete control for quite a while. Handmaid's Tale is actually Sharia law, but Hollywood would not say that, so they go for the easy, acceptable target of Catholics. If Democrats took control, the US would probably move somewhere between where it is currently and liberal European countries like Sweden. I would expect it to mostly stay near where it is now on most issues, but a bit farther left. If Republicans took control, I would expect the US to be more somewhere around a Christian Iran but with a strong corporate element to government. Democrats have always been fractious. They unify only in response to GOP madness. No individual would get everything they want. There would be a slew of alternative caucuses. Progressives? Actual fundamental change that would better people's lives. Centrist Dems? Nothing really, maybe more social protections for marginalized communities but not much else. Centrist Republicans? See above, just insert Christians instead of marginalized communities. Fascist MAGA Republicans? Criminalization of non-Christian lifestyle that would probably definitely lead to some deaths of LGBTQ people. It wouldn't matter if the party was Mother Teresa and her missionaries of charity. Unchecked power corrupts. You'd wind up with something like the CCP, where collective ego and fear created an environment of gross separation between the value of leaders and citizens. I don't think it would be good to have too much momentum in one direction. We want constructive progress, taking calculated risks at selected times. The pull of two parties help going too far one extreme and implementing bad policy fast. More parties not less are needed. We need to pull more than just two directions. GOP wins Christian nationalist Reich. Dems win. Business as usual status quo. Broken. The system is supposed to be adversarial. For good reason. They're supposed to fight each other so none of them actually get full control. Democrats get full control, United States survives as a constitutional republic. Republicans get full control, United States does not continue as a constitutional republic. Terrible. This is why we have two parties, because a conflict under control is better than the alternative. This is what I think people like MTG are missing. Progressives are not the enemy of conservatives, we both need the other to exist for balance. I'm a pretty staunch liberal, but I don't want to live in an all-liberal country, because I'll quickly find out if I'm liberal enough or not. That's not good for anyone. Without this balance, we end up with fascism. It depends if the party is Democrat. California is the 4th largest economy in the world. All thanks to Democrat Party supermajority for the last 25 years. One-party rule in China has also been a good thing as they can build infrastructure and high-speed rail for a fraction of what it costs the US. Democrats about the same. There will always be just enough Dems willing to vote against meaningful change. Republicans, have you seen The Handmaid's Tale? If the GOP had total control, the USA would become a Christo-fascist hellscape. We had this in 2008 when Obama got elected. What we got was the closest thing to universal healthcare we'll probably ever get. If Dems got it, we'd look like Sweden. Republicans do, we'll be Afghanistan or Bosnia. If Republicans got control, it would be a Christian Saudi Arabia. If Democrats got control, I'd be like Norway or something like that. Democrats. Country would be like California. Republicans. Country would be like Alabama. If Democrats had full control, we'd probably have some more government handouts. If Republicans had full control, we'd probably replace the Constitution with autocratic rule. Republicans have significantly less ability to control the instincts of the extremists, in part because in 2016 Republicans won the presidency via its extremist wing and the mainstream of the party hasn't disowned it yet. Unless they won it fairly with actual widespread support like during the New Deal, it could be short-lived and quite unstable. It would have to be a very big tent with lots of internal diversity of opinion, like in the past when Democrat congressional majorities or even supermajorities still needed Republican support to pass stuff due to no votes from their own side. That's the only way it would be stable. I mean, the day that Y, ID, UT, MS, AL etc. all turn into blue trifectas is probably the day I have a heart attack. Gilead, we are fighting Gilead, and conscription would help a lot. Especially to find incels with Stockholm Syndrome for a second coming. Under Republican control it would look like the times of slavery. Under Democratic control it would start off good then eventually turn bad. If the current group of Republicans gained full control, we'd look a lot like Iran. Democrats would tax rich people and wealth, no just income. They would invest in education. They would terrify the private healthcare and drug companies into a working system at lower cost. It would be great for the country. But racists and bigots would not be welcome or happy. I mean, the Democrats had the POTUS and both houses of Congress not long ago, and we still don't have universal healthcare. So it wouldn't be a big deal. It's the status quo. Nothing happening. Depends on which party. Nazi Germany or the US. The Dems would try and preserve the institutions of democracy. The reps already act like authoritarians. They have no plans of governance, only to rule. Chicago has been Democrat-controlled for at least half a century, so they would be a perfect representation for Democrats. It's called the Chicago Machine. It would stay the same. They would just lose the excuses that the other party is stopping their progress. It would feel like accidentally making eye contact with a dog taking a dollar hit. Just awkward. Not that different, honestly. If you look at states that are controlled by Democrats versus Republicans, the difference is marginal with regard to economic issues. Where they differ a lot is in the realm of social issues which, let's be honest, designed to keep up appearances of left versus right. If it were Democrats, things would be done to help working Americans. If ever Republicans, they would start stripping away every right available to Americans while helping the rich at the same time. There would be a huge need to keep up the appearances of the US being a democracy. That means that the other party, or another party anyway, would be kept around as symbolic opposition. The US is so badly designed with districts and less than equitable representation that various regions are very much single-party dominated. This is a travesty because it finishes the political power that individual citizens have. If Democrats got everything they wanted, then maybe we would have some more social programs going, but not much else would change. They are centrists. Meanwhile, if the GOP got everything they wanted, it would be a nationwide regression of decades. From a dramatic increase in gerrymandering to more tax cuts for the rich, national immorality bans and voter suppression. I really wish both parties would split and leave us with multiple smaller parties ranging across the political spectrum. But I know that is just a dream.